Does God hate Christmas? That seems to be what some people think, and around this time of year, they get quite vocal about it. They claim that Christmas has pagan origins. The Christmas tree is an evil idol and Santa Claus is satanic. Is all of this true? And if so, how should Christians react? Stay tuned to find out. First of all, I think it's no secret that Jesus wasn't born on December the 25th. The Bible says that during the time of his birth, shepherds were grazing their sheep. And they don't do that in wintertime. They keep their sheep indoors because it's too cold. Nobody really knows the exact date of Jesus' birth. Not to mention, the first recorded date of Christmas, being celebrated on December the 25th, was in 336 AD during the time of Roman Emperor Constantine. He was the first Christian Roman emperor. A few years later, Pope Julius I officially declared that the birth of Jesus would be celebrated on the 25th of December. Before claiming to convert to Christianity and declaring himself the head of the church, Emperor Constantine was a pagan, and Roman pagans actually celebrated the birthday of the sun god, Mithra, on December the 25th. So basically, he converted the birthday of the pagan sun god to the birthday of the Son of God, Jesus Christ. He did this along with other compromises between Christianity and paganism to promote stability and ensure that his empire lasted. With that being said, is it wrong for Christians to celebrate the birth of Jesus on December the 25th? No, because we are not honoring the sun god in any way. If we keep it Christ-centered, it's just fine. The fact that we do it on December the 25th has no significance because that's just a day, and it's not the day in and of itself that matters. In this case, it's what you do on that day, and if you glorify Jesus instead of Mithra, that's what counts. The Bible doesn't say we can't celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ even though it's on a day that was formerly celebrated as the birthday of a pagan sun god. At the same time, the Bible doesn't require us to celebrate Jesus' birth either. So if we feel compelled not to, that's fine as well. We shouldn't judge people in either case. Moving on to the Christmas tree. Boy, I did a video with a little Christmas tree in the background and people immediately started commenting. For example, why do you have a tree? Is pagan stuff, bro. 26 likes. And check this out. Jeremiah chapter 10 verses 1 through 5. 14 likes. I'm glad that people are reading their Bibles and know where to find stuff. Unfortunately, this passage has nothing to do with the Christmas tree. Now, when you read it in the King James Version, it's a little more vague compared to some modern translations of the Bible. That's not to say that modern translations are necessarily better. I personally read and study mainly from the King James Version because it was translated from the most reliable manuscripts of the Bible. But modern translations of the Bible do have an advantage sometimes because they are written in modern English, which makes some passages easier to understand. I mean, I've been reading the King James Bible for like 15 years, and there are some passages that I still have a hard time understanding. Regardless, the modern-day Christmas tree didn't exist back then. It's actually a German invention of around the 16th century, and I'll get into that in a minute. But first, I want to clarify exactly what Jeremiah chapter 10 verses 1 through 5 is talking about. It states, "You people of Israel, listen to what the Lord has to say to you. The Lord says, do not start following pagan religious practices. Do not be in awe of signs that occur in the sky, even though the nations hold them in awe. For the religion of these people is worthless. They cut down a tree in the forest, and a craftsman makes it into an idol with his tools. He decorates it with overlays of silver and gold. He uses hammer and nails to fasten it together so that it will not fall over. Such idols are like scarecrows in a cucumber field. They cannot talk. They must be carried because they cannot walk. Do not be afraid of them because they cannot hurt you, and they do not have any power to help you." As you can see, especially in the New English translation which I just quoted, it is clear that this passage from Jeremiah is condemning carving an idol to worship out of a tree and then plating it with gold or silver. Now about the origin of the modern Christmas tree. There are several legends to the origin of the modern Christmas tree. One that seems most likely to me is medieval German mystery or miracle plays that were acted out in front of churches on Christmas Eve in the 12th century. Before the play began, a large evergreen tree called a paradise tree was often paraded around town as a way to advertise the play. The tree represented the Garden of Eden, and the play told Bible stories to people who could not read. Eventually, the paradise play vanished, and it is claimed that afterwards it became the custom to put up a paradise tree in the home to honor the first parents. This was a fir tree laden with apples, the symbol of Adam's fall. They also decorated the tree with white wafers, representing the Eucharist, the symbol of man's redemption and salvation. It was customary as early as the 16th century in Germany to ring the tree with candles because the paradise play was erected in such a ring. Mention of this custom was published in 1419 at the Freiburg Fraternity Bakers' Apprentices of the German Alsace, and a letter written by a Strasbourg resident in 1605 stating, "At Christmas, they set up fir trees in the parlors at Strasbourg and hung thereon roses cut of many colored paper, apples, wafers, gold foil, sweets." Others claim that the Protestant reformer Martin Luther was the first person to bring a tree into his home and decorate it. The story goes, one night before Christmas, he was walking through the forest and looked up to see the stars shining through the tree branches. It was so beautiful that he went home and told his children that it reminded him of Jesus, who left the stars of heaven to come to earth at Christmas. To recapture the scene for his family, he erected a tree in the main room and wired its branches with lighted candles. Another story says that Saint Boniface of Crediton, a village in Devon, UK, left England and traveled to Germany to preach to the pagan German tribes and converted them to Christianity. Supposedly, he came across a group of pagans about to sacrifice a young boy while worshiping an oak tree. In anger and to stop the sacrifice, he cut down the oak tree, and to his amazement, a young fir tree sprang up from the roots of the oak tree. Saint Boniface took this as a sign of the Christian faith, and his followers decorated the tree with candles so that Saint Boniface could preach to the pagans at night. But to be honest, I have a really hard time believing this legend because it's kind of fanciful, in my opinion. There are some out there that claim Christmas trees come from pagan practices, and although I do admit there are some similarities, I don't quite think that that is the case. But just to give you a few examples, many ancient peoples decorated their homes with evergreen boughs during the solstice to celebrate the regeneration of the sun god. It reminded them of all the green plants that would grow again when the sun god was strong and summer would return. The Egyptians actually used palm rushes, which symbolized for them the triumph of life over death. Early Romans held a feast called Saturnalia in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture, and filled their homes and temples with evergreen boughs. The Druids of Northern Europe also decorated their temples with evergreen boughs as a symbol of everlasting life. And the Scandinavian Vikings thought that evergreens were the special plant of the sun god Balder. However, the differences between these pagan practices and what Christians do today is pagans didn't take whole trees into their homes and decorate them like Christians do. It's not exactly the same thing, and I wouldn't go so far as to say that the Christmas tree is a form of pagan idolatry rebranded with a Christian name. Therefore, I don't think it's necessarily wrong to have a Christmas tree. Not to mention, it's just a tree. There's nothing inherently wrong with a tree, even if pagans did use branches from the same type of tree for their religious practices in the past. The tree serves a different purpose for Christians. So it's not the tree in and of itself which is evil, it's what you use the tree for. And I think the tree can be used to teach children valuable lessons about the plan of salvation, especially in terms of the fall of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Also, when you exchange presents, you can remind each other about the greatest gift that has been given to humanity in the birth of Jesus Christ, who came to show us what God was like and to die on the cross for our sins. Now about Santa Claus. There's a lot of opinions about the origin of Santa Claus, from St. Nicholas, a bishop who lived in the 4th century in a place called Mithra in Asia Minor, to Odin, the ruler of Asgard, one of the major gods in Germanic mythology. Regardless, Santa has nothing in common with celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. Not only is Santa a fictitious character, he takes the place of Jesus Christ for many children. Instead of being taught valuable lessons about Jesus and the Bible, children are often distracted by Santa Claus, and he is made the focus of their Christmas. And he is actually an antichrist because he takes the place of Christ. Santa Claus is said to have many characteristics that belong to Jesus Christ. For example, the hour of Santa's coming is a mystery. So is the second coming of Jesus Christ. Santa is a toy carpenter. Jesus is a carpenter. Santa knows if you've been good or bad. Jesus knows all things. Santa is ageless. Jesus is eternal. Kris Kringle, another name for Santa, actually means Christ child in German. And the list goes on. If you want to read more, just check out the links to my credits and sources in the description box. Just because December the 25th was celebrated as the birthday of the sun god by pagans doesn't mean that Christians can't celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ on that day. The day in and of itself is not inherently evil. It's what you do on that day that makes the difference. And there is no prohibition in the Bible to celebrate the birth of Jesus. At the same time, the Bible doesn't require us to celebrate Jesus' birth, so we shouldn't judge people either way. The Christmas tree is not a pagan idol. Jeremiah chapter 10 verses 1 through 5 is cited by some to condemn setting up a Christmas tree, but upon closer inspection, it's really talking about carving a wooden idol and worshiping it. The modern Christmas tree actually has its origins in 16th century Germany, and it likely evolved from Christmas plays a few centuries earlier. Santa Claus should have nothing to do with Christmas, as he often takes children's attention away from the reason for the season, which is Jesus Christ. Christmas can be used as a witnessing tool to teach children and remind each other precious truths of the gospel. And more people are open to hearing the gospel during this time of the year too. So it's not a bad idea to do some evangelism or have a Christmas play or sermon for the church or community. These are my opinions. I know not everyone will agree, but I used to think Christmas was evil because some of the pagan origins, until I came to realize that as long as you make Christ the focus of Christmas, that's what matters most. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like it and share it. Subscribe if you're new, and click on the notifications icon next to the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Also, please pray that my ministry will continue growing and reaching people for Christ. And if you'd like to support my channel and ministry with a donation, links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts are available in the description box. Your donations really help. And to check out some more of my videos by clicking on the screen. I have a lot of good Christian videos which I'm sure you'll enjoy if you liked this one. God bless you.